Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yashodanandana Brajajanarandana Yamuna Tira Vanamsari Yamuna Tira Vanamsari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Jai Radha Madhava Radha Jai Radha Madhava Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Tri Vrajgacha Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Boy Charan Arvind Bhakti Raghava Swami Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai Nanta Koti Namacharya Samavata Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Ki Danita Gaura Pimanande, all glorious to the assembly devotees, all glorious to the assembly, all glorious to the assembly devotees, all glorious to see Guru and to see Gauranga, all glorious to the Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurandiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagradatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savidutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakanditamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Jaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Nara, Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamashloke Bhakti Raghava Swami. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within our heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Brahma Shloka Charitam Shakara Bhagavan Rishi Nisreya Sayalokasya Dhanyam Swaschayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya 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 Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Om Sarabhyaya Namaha.
Om Surabhyaya Namaha.
Mukam karoti vācalam pangum langayate girim yatripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam yatripat maham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome everyone to a morning class on Srimad Bhagavatam. We are continuing from Canto number 1, chapter. Actually, we're beginning a new chapter today. We just, the last chapter, chapter 16, which was entitled How Parīkṣit Received the Age of Khali, was relatively short, 36 verses. And we're now beginning chapter 17, which, let's see, chapter 17, which is entitled Punishment and Reward of Khali. This one has 45 verses. Okay, text number 1. Sutta uvacha.
Sutta uvacha.
Tatra. Go. Mithunam. Raja. Hanyamanam. Anathavat. Danda. Hastam. Cha. Drishalam. Dadrishe. Nripa. Lanchanam. Sutta uvacha. Tatra go mithunam raja. Hanyamanam anathavat. Dandahastam chavrishalam. Dadrishe nripalanchanam. Sutta uvacha. Tatra go mithunam raja. Hanyamanam anathavat. Dandahastam chavishalam. Dadrishe nripalanchanam. Sutta uvacha. Tatra go mithunam raja. Hanyamanam anathavat. Dandahastam chavrishalam. Dadrishe nripalanchanam. Sutta uvacha. Tatra go mithunam raja. Anyamanam anathavat. Dandahastam chavrishalam. Dadrishe nripalanchanam. Sutta uvacha. Tatra go mithunam raja. Hanyamanam anathavat. Dandahastam chavrishalam. Dadrishe nripalanchanam.
Sutta uvacha. Tatra go mithunam raja. Hanyamanam anathavat. Dandahastam cha vrishalam. Dadrishe nripalanchanam.
Sutta uvacha. Sri Sutta Goswami said, Tatra, thereupon, go mithunam, a cow and a bull, Raja, the king, Hanyamanam, being beaten, Anathavat, appearing to be bereft,
daring to be bereft
of their owner.
of their owner.
Dandahastam,
Dandahastam,
with a club in hand.
with the club in hand.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Vrishalam,
Vishalam,
lower caste Shudra.
lower caste Sudra.
Dadrishe,
Dadrishe,
observed.
observe.
Nripa,
Nripa,
a king.
king.
Lanchanam,
Lananam,
dressed like.
that's right.
English, you follow English?
Some little.
Some little. English? Hindi. Jharkhand.
I
Hindi.
can translate. No.
Opportunity to pick up a little bit on their English. Maybe. Okay. We'll Vrishalam, lower caste Shudra. So there are low caste Shudra and then there are higher caste Shudra. But nowadays we identify Shudra as all lower caste, as fallen. Of course, there is a certain hierarchy, but Shudra in the Vedic culture is actually an elevated, not so easy to become a
Yes.
qualified Shudra.
If we compare an average employee of a company,
Yes,
they
absolutely.
they are dedicated to their master. They will never give up their master.
Yes. And there's a whole list of qualities very nicely explained by Narada Muni. As many qualities practically as a Brahmana. And among them, interestingly enough, we know about the 4 qualities which form the pillars of Dharma, which again are mentioned by Narada Muni in the 11th chapter of the 7th canto, Satyam Daya Tapasa Ucham. And Shudra is meant to have and exemplify 2 of those important qualities, Satyam, truthfulness, and Shaucham, cleanliness. Yeah. So that's a qualified Shudra, higher caste Shudra, we could say. Okay, translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
Sutta Goswami said, after reaching that place, Maharaja Parīkṣit observed that a lower caste Shudra, dressed like a king, was beating a cow and a bull with a club, as if they had no owner. Kindly repeat after me. Sutta Goswami said,
Sutta Goswami.
Hare Krishna. Sutta Goswami said,
Goswami said,
yes. After reaching that place,
after reaching that place,
Maharaj Parīkṣit
Maharaj Parīkṣit
observed that a lower caste Shudra,
observed that a lower caste Shudra,
dressed like a king,
dressed like a king,
was beating a cow and a bull
was beating a cow and a bull
with a club,
with a club,
as if they had no owner.
as if they had no honor.
Yes, purport. The principal sign of the age of Khali is that lower caste Shudras, which means men without Brahminical culture and spiritual initiation, will be dressed like administrators or kings. And the principal business of such non-Kshatriya rulers will be to kill the innocent animals, especially the cows and the bulls, who shall be unprotected by their masters, the bona fide Vaiśyas, the mercantile community. In the Bhagavad Gita 18:44, it is said that the Vaiśyas are meant to deal in agriculture, cow protection, and trade. In the age of Khali, the degraded Vaiśyas, the mercantile men, are engaged in supplying cows to slaughterhouses. The Kṣatriyas are meant to protect the citizens of the state, whereas the Vaiśyas are meant to protect the cows and bulls and utilize them to produce grains and milk. The cow is meant to deliver milk, and the bull is meant to produce grains. But in the age of Khali, the Śūdra class of men are in the posts of administrators, and the cows and bulls, or the mothers and the fathers, unprotected by the Vaiśyas, are subjected to the slaughterhouses organized by the Śūdra administrators. Translation again. The Sutta Goswami said, after reaching that place, Maharaja Parīkṣit observed that a lower caste Śūdra, dressed like a king, was beating a cow and a bull with a club, as if they had no owner. When one properly studies the what is meant to be the natural arrangement, natural divisions, society, there is such a thing as natural division, natural arrangement, based on actually the laws of nature. Just a few days ago, one devotee sent me a wonderful purport, which it's like at different times we read something from Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. It's like we never read it before or never understood it. We might have read it 100 times, but on that day, the 100th time or whatever, it becomes meaningful. And he was very surprised. It was like a revelation for him. It's in a purport, I can share it later, from the Bhagavatam, wherein Srila Prabhupada speaks about Varnashrama Dharma as being sanatan, as being part of, if not equal to Sanatan Dharma. Means it's an eternal arrangement. It's an eternal system. It is the system, we say in French, par excellence, or in English, par excellence, or whatever. Means it is the best, the most scientific, and the only actual sustainable system, when properly understood and properly followed, to satisfy and to meet all of the different needs and necessities of society. Not only to meet the needs of society, which are largely material in nature, economic and social, emotional, but also it is the best, and this is what we fail to understand. It is the best system, the best arrangement to favor and help us to develop spiritually. We were discussing, isn't it, a few days ago, the need and the importance of reconnecting with nature, with material nature. The more we reconnect with material nature, the more we live in harmony with material nature, it becomes easier to reconnect with our spiritual nature. Because Krishna's grand arrangement in terms of material nature and how we are meant to interact with material nature, how we are meant to properly utilize these gifts of nature. So again, here, cows and men, we were discussing yesterday, the three gifts of nature. Then this more easily and more quickly brings us to the mode of goodness. And unless we come to the mode of goodness, we cannot take up the practice of bhakti, devotional service. And unless we come to the mode of goodness, we cannot so easily understand spiritual subject matters. That's why meat eaters, many devotees in the early days, and maybe it's like that also now, but definitely in the early days, because Prabhupada started his movement in a non-Vedic culture environment in the Western world, where there's no Vedic culture. But many of the early devotees had somehow or other become vegetarian. Many of them, not all. I had become vegetarian a few years before coming in contact with devotees. And becoming vegetarian means helping one becomes a bit more situated in the mode of goodness. And unless we are situated in the mode of goodness, then we cannot, because our mind is constantly disturbed. Our mind is constantly polluted. Mode of goodness means, evam prasanna manaso. The mind becomes peaceful, pacified. And it's only in that state of mind that we can begin to understand things as they are, and that we can actually begin to take up the process of devotional service. So when that whole system that Krishna has created, this is what is being explained here. This started 5,000 years ago and has developed to the point where we see today, where people who are not connected with the Brahminical culture. It's not only the Brahmanas who are connected with the Brahminical culture. Actually, all the members of society, including the Śūdras, are meant to be connected with the Brahminical culture, but especially in terms of being initiated. Here in the purport, Prabhupada mentions how people who are not qualified, who are not, there's a reason why we find the term dvija, twice born. Twice born means those who are receiving proper training and education, generally in ashram, gurukula, brahmanas, Kṣatriyas and Vaiśyas. And they also all become initiated. They all receive the sacred thread. And that is one of the mandatory activities of the Dvijas. Every day is to worship the deity form of the Lord. Generally they will have, traditionally, like Shaligram Shila, some deity. Therefore, every day, the Dvijas, they are meant to engage in worshipping the Lord. And when this is not in place, then society has to function, isn't it? Everywhere, all over the world, there's always these natural divisions. Those who are more intellectual, those who are more in terms of natural leaders in society, etc. But when those people are untrained and without proper knowledge, then they become unqualified to actually do what they're meant to do. We have all kinds of leaders in society today. A country cannot function without leaders, but basically we have bad leaders. We have unqualified leaders. We have leaders who don't, most of the leaders in modern day society have no idea whatsoever about Dharma, about the principles of Dharma. And therefore, this is very, very far removed from what Vedic culture is advocating. That, like Rishabhadev, Pita na sasyat, Guru na sasyat, that verse is explaining how one should not take up the role of a father, the role of a king, the role of a guru, the role of a leader in society, unless one is able to deliver one's dependence, isn't it? It's a very grave responsibility to become a parent or to become responsible for dependence. And in any society, actually the vast majority of individuals are dependent by nature. That's how it is. Very few are actually natural leaders. But the standard of what is meant to be a leader is given in the Shastra. They must be knowing about and following the principles of Dharma. Otherwise, it makes for a completely disorderly system within society, disorganized and extremely disruptive, and also bringing about immense pain and suffering to everyone, including, as we were discussing just yesterday or the day before, including Mother Bhumi. This is what is being expressed here also. In the previous chapter, it is Mother Earth in the form of a cow who is expressing her grief and sorrow because unscrupulous, unqualified men are exploiting her in so many different ways, and that is symbolized by again, as we read, but this is beginning here, how Parikshit Maharaj is coming on the scene, and he's observing that some unqualified person, I mean, anyone can put on a dress, here in this case putting on a dress of a king, royal dress. And the unqualified, so Parikshit Maharaj is observing this Śūdra personality, lower class Śūdra, taking on a false position, assuming the role of a king, and what is it? With a stick, beating, with club, yeah, with a club, beating both the cow and the bull. Well, nowadays it's more than just beating, for that's part of the whole system also. It is unthinkable what is taking place in terms of slaughterhouses and so many other unspeakable things that are taking place simply because we have unqualified persons. So unless there are individuals who are properly trained in these principles of Dharma, then the prevailing situation in society pretty well all over the world will simply continue, and this will simply create a very hellish conditions for everyone. So those who have some understanding, means those who are fortunate to come in contact with this understanding, with this knowledge, they have primary responsibility to make or bring about the changes that are needed. Actually, in the very beginning of the purport, Prabhupada makes a point which he has made in other places also. He states that actually how does he put it? The principal sign, the main sign in the age of Khali will be that cows and bulls are not protected. And the same instruction, same observation Srila Prabhupada makes in a little less known book called The Light of the Bhagavat. The Light of the Bhagavat, which was written before Srila Prabhupada went to the Western countries. Very wonderful presentation from the 10th canto of the Bhagavatam. Yeah, very poetic in so many ways, and very instructive. So in one of those verses where Prabhupada comments and gives his purports, Srila Prabhupada states that those who are serious to bring about a solution to the many ills and problems in the world today must first give their attention to the protection of cows. And for most of us, it's kind of the last thing we think about. And I mean, even as devotees, of course, we all say we love cows. We know that cows are important, but we are so far removed. We're so disconnected with cows and the lifestyle. We can only begin to more clearly and more deeply understand the importance of cows, the role of cows, and our particular position, and what is meant to be our relationship as well when we are having cows. It's like ordinary people cannot understand what is ashram life unless they come and stay a few days or a few hours. We can't understand about, somebody else's profession unless we somehow get a little involved. So in a similar way, we read about it, we have some little understanding, but we are far, far from having the kind of understanding needed and the kind of understanding that is being described actually in the pages of the Bhagavatam, which only that type of understanding will help us to bring about the needed changes. Those needed changes, what's one of the major needed changes to address this problem which is being pointed out here, which seems practically inconceivable today because the whole of modern society is just propounding and advocating something totally different. The only way that we can actually begin to understand and to give the kind of protection that is needed for cows is for us as individuals, especially those who are householders, is to live as Krishna and Balaram and as the residents of Vrindavan lived 5,000 years ago in Vrindavan, and as the majority of people, for that matter, in India and in most countries around the world, lived in villages. Means we have to, even though it may sound like whatever name we may want to give it, impractical or undoable or whatever, we have to, this is what Shastra is telling, this is what our acharyas are telling also, we have to come back to, we have to re-establish that system which Krishna has created. That means that actually the majority of our householders, on the long run, should be living with cows, should be in villages. However seemingly impractical or even so-called impossible that may seem to us today. Now we may not tomorrow morning be able to do this, but unless we take some steps and some measures to go in that direction, unless we understand that actually this is meant to be the standard, we'll obviously never come to that standard. It's like we know from these literatures that if we want to go back home, back to Godhead, we have to become pure devotees. So in the Shastra it explains, okay, what's a pure devotee? Well, it's someone who's, 24 hours a day engaged in devotional service to Krishna. There's so many descriptions that help us understand what is a pure devotee. One who's totally detached from material activities, etc. So, in a similar way, if we want to properly understand what is that ideal lifestyle, then we have to read the descriptions that are there in the Shastra. We have to understand how the residents of Vrindavan lived, etc. Then we can actually make or address and begin bringing the proper solution to this first and most serious problem in society. So then the question is, of course, there, what are we doing individually or what are we doing as a society to actually make this happen? Yeah. So these are a few thoughts on this. It will be unfolding here. Parikshit Maharaj is just appearing on the scene and observing the situation, and in these chapters Prabhupada elaborates as he has in the previous chapter as well, which is all very very closely, intimately connected with this ideal lifestyle that is being advocated or promoted in the Vedic culture in terms of being connected with cows and the land. See, that's what happened. When we are no longer connected with cows and land, then we become, naturally, we don't think about the land or the cows because we're not dependent on them. And therefore we become, in many ways, callous to the situation. So unless we reverse that, unless we connect again with cows and land in a meaningful way, then we cannot have the changes that are needed. True or not true?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes? Some thoughts? Yes?
You have an experience of all over the world in ISKCON. Did you see anywhere where not the institute maintaining Goshala? Means I see that institute leaders sometimes in village, not village life, in farm communities which Srila Prabhupada wanted to establish. There are many farm communities, but they are maintaining cows and bulls in an institutional way. It's not families are maintaining them, but some group,
Correct.
like pujaris, Goshalaman, and so on. So at the present moment, it is the maximum which is going to provide us. So how to get the next step?
Yes. So the question is, within our ISKCON society, we do have a number of projects where most projects where they do have land and doing some agriculture, they also have cows and they have Goshala. So the question is, are there any such places where
Vaiśyas are maintaining.
well, it's a interesting and an important topic actually, that there's a lot of misunderstanding about Goshala and what is meant to be the ideal way to care for cows, because cows are not meant to be in a Goshala largely. Cows are meant to be out of the Goshala. Goshala is meant to be for those who are maybe older cows or diseased cows. Of course, depending on the Goshala, Goshala mentality, Goshala means a place where cows can stay and be protected. Now, if you look at a place like here in India, there's the largest Goshala in the world. It's on the border of Gujarat and Rajasthan. Huh? You know about it?
Actually, I once went to, when I went to Barsana,
Yeah.
they also have like 50,000 cows and something.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. But when you go to this place, what's it called again? The name is not coming right now. But they have between 2 lakhs and 3 lakhs of cows. They've been maintained. So how do they, they have between 200,000 and 300,000 cows. It's like, so the system they have, they are connected with like 20, 25 villages. And they have, themselves, they have like a large area, I think it's 100 acres or possibly more.
200 acres.
200, huh? Patmera, correct. Yeah, Patmera. I've been there a few times. Anyone know about Patmera? Patmera, you can look it up. It's very interesting. So what they follow is what is meant to be followed, that the cows are out all the time. and they have land where there are trees so that whenever it's needed, either if it's raining or if it's too sunny, they have some place where they can get some shade, or they can be protected like that. I mean, when you have 100,000 cows, 200,000 cows, you don't have a house for each one. So, in other words, we have developed a kind of a misunderstanding regarding Goshala, and we tend to keep and to feed our cows in the Goshala. Cows are not meant to be fed in a Goshala. Cows, their natural way of feeding is actually in the fields. They're meant to eat grass walking. So there's a whole natural system of grazing. It's a whole scientific system as well. Cows are meant to be this is what takes place every day in Vrindavan. We hear the description that from early morning, Krishna and Balaram, they take out the small calves, and then some of the men, the older men or older boys, they take out the bulls and the cows. So, and they're out all day, basically. Then they come back. Then they stay. So to answer the question, I've not seen many places where cows are meant to be looked after by families, which is one of the points you're making. That was even now in some places, but much less than before. Every family is meant to have their own cows, and those cows are treated as family members. They're treated as family members. And what generally happens is that all the cows go out, and then there's meant to be, actually even in South India, where we have our project in Hibri, up until, I see it much less now, but different people who had cows, every day they would let, the cows would naturally go out. But they would go out generally without a cowherd, man or boy, which is not the proper way, because we lost a few cows like this, because especially if a small cow maybe gets entangled somewhere, and then something comes around the neck, and then there's nobody there to see, then we lose cows in this way. So many unexpected things.
Yeah, Krishna immediately went to find some cow.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is part of the solution, to bring back, to train and bring back the system of cowherding, which means cowherd boys. As a matter of fact, 10, 11, 37, 10th canto, 11th chapter, which is the description of Krishna's daily activities. It's wonderful to read, but unless we really understand it, then we'll not put it into practice. But the description there is that every single day, as a young boy, Krishna, and with his brother Balaram, and so many of their friends, I mean, we're talking about, the age of maybe 6, 7, 8 years. This is how they start their education. This is, Prabhupada says in that purport, this is Vedic education. Imagine, this is Vedic education for young boys, for the majority of young boys. Those who are not by nature Brahminical, Brahmanas, they will go to Gurukula. But those who are not Brahmanas or Kshatriyas, they will look after, they'll be connected with Krishi Koraksha. Some will look after cows, some will learn how to produce food, if their father is a Vaishya, for example. So, see, that cannot happen. That can never happen unless we have families who are living off the land. So families who are there in the country and who have children, then this is the education that their children can get and should get. Now, we are so far removed from the Vedic culture that we cannot understand so easily. How is it that, see, if this boy goes to look after the cows and he's not going to school, how this is our way, our diseased way of thinking. We have falsely come to this understanding, or we have come to this misunderstanding that unless one goes to a building where it is written school, one doesn't get an education. But the opposite is actually true, that real education is meant to be in a more natural environment, based on our natural aptitude, natural disposition. And so that's a whole topic which, again, we simply cannot so easily understand. But the education that a young boy is meant to receive is in that context. Because education is not only about learning, facts and figures. Education is also in terms of how to interact with other members of society, with our peers, and there are many. When we begin to understand what is called Vedic education in the context of what is meant to be the ideal Vedic lifestyle. And that ideal Vedic lifestyle has to be connected with cows and land. And we will be doing the greatest, injustice to ourselves and to our children if we continue to not understand this point, actually. Because majority of our devotees don't understand this. Majority of our grihastha devotees.
Maharaj, আমার দুটো কলা বানানা কাটবো, এখানে গাড়ি টানবো, ছোট গাড়ি, বানানা।
আমি বুঝতে পারি, একটু পরে লোক আসবে, একটু দাঁড়াও।
এইদিকে আসবে,
একটু দাঁড়াও। একটু দাঁড়াও।
ওইখান দিয়ে চলে আসবে, ফাঁকায় আনবে। ছোট গাড়ি।
একটু দাঁড়াও, একটু পরে আমি